Heaven help me.
Good morning, America. We're live.
Well,
Oh. Are we live now?
what was that noise?
I don't know. It was coming from your devices.
Was it?
You should know about
I thought
your
it
noises.
came from over there. You know when you speak straight away, you know that it's not going out over the internet. You know that it takes a while for the streams.
How long does it take for the streams to...
I don't know, it takes about 10-15 seconds for things to connect, and then it goes live. So when you start talking straight away, it's like, you know, you have to wait. You have to wait a while.
Has this been enough waiting?
Yeah, look, we're live. We're live on YouTube over there. We're we're disappearing into the eternal whiteness of the universe on Facebook over there.
I thought I might be sucked in by the wall, but that didn't happen.
Was that a hope? Were you hoping that the wall was going to suck you in and you were going to disappear into the spotless mind of the great infinity?
Yes.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
Well. No.
Well, hello,
I wasn't.
hello on the podcast as well. Welcome to what are we doing?
Practical parenting.
Okay, because I'm eating an onion.
101, 202, and 303.
I'm eating an onion. It's nice.
Good. It smells wonderful. If you guys see me kind of drifting out of the picture subconsciously, trying to get away from the...
Well, it's not subconscious, it's conscious.
From the... It was now, but it might happen subconsciously throughout the video. Trying to escape the deathly wafts coming out of your oral cavity.
And suddenly she became a zoo animal. Actually, this onion tastes like a... You're right.
I haven't been alright for the last week.
No? This onion tastes like a rubber duck.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you ate rubber ducks?
Last time you cooked one.
Okay. That was about 5 years ago.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't know that you had to cook that you had to roast them for 6 hours. I only did it for 2 and it wasn't very edible.
You know what I've forgotten to do?
What did you forget? You forgot to check everything.
No, I didn't forget to check everything.
Yes, you did.
I forgot to check the streams. I forgot to check that everything's going out live.
Yeah, but the streams are everything. Right?
You sound like somebody who's trapped in the Matrix. But the streams are everything.
Streams. I'm going
no,
to
wait, look, we can't. Oh no, look, see,
I'm disappearing into the great big nothingness
No, you
of
have
the
disappeared
universe.
already.
Oh my god.
Look, I'll have to change the contrast on this. Wow, that's maximum. I mean that's...
I'm just not contrastual enough today, I suppose.
Nope, you're just also not using the English language either. Right.
Who
let's
needs
check and see if
English
we're going out
language? It's
live.
overestimated anyhow.
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba,
Yes,
ba,
we can
ba.
hear G.
I can't hear you.
Go, quick. The pot is there.
Are you... Okay. Little family emergency in the background. As you do. There we go. Yanka's running off to save the day. As she does. In her save the day kind of way. I have to check the YouTube streams now to check that everything is going out.
The day has been successfully saved. You just don't want me there.
Oh Jesus! Look at that! I've never wait.
The day has been successfully saved.
Okay. Whoa! This is. Well, look. See, over here on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
We're okay.
I'm alright on YouTube. Facebook just doesn't like my mug.
You know, look. It's actually. Do you see what it's doing?
No.
You can, up there.
Yeah.
Okay. See where the arrow is. I'm gonna do a little bit of a thing. I actually put it over here.
Yeah.
And you know what happened?
Nothing.
It moved. Look, it's moving itself. Look, it's moving itself back.
Yeah.
Look, I'm turning off that contrast element. Let's see what else I can do. Okay.
Well, you see, guys, it's so funny. I mean, it's so
It's
sunny.
funny.
I'm sorry. I've had a really big cold for the past few days,
Going
and my
light, dark,
brain
light,
is
dark.
kind of stuffed with tissue and
other things.
mucus and stuff. So
Stuffy stuff.
yeah.
Look, it looks like we're underwater now.
Yeah. I've been feeling like I'm underwater for the last 3 days. Anyway.
Brightness. Maybe I should
So,
turn down the brightness a little bit. It does look like we're underwater.
It looks like sunshine shining. So there is a lot of sunshine shining
on a
out there.
rainy day.
It's very, very beautiful, and it was very beautiful
Are we,
yesterday and before yesterday.
Can you see us? Are we okay?
And it's just this gorgeous Indian summer day, you know.
In Slovakia.
What
does an Indian summer? What does that even mean?
You don't know what Indian summer means?
No, I don't actually.
Indian summer
I've heard it, but I don't know what it
means when the autumn starts and things get cold and yucky and mucky, and then
You're rhyming every time. If you're going to give you a mic, you start rhyming.
and then the summer weather.
Hi, Lucia. Welcome to the
returns.
conversation. If you've got
Hi.
any questions.
And then
about
the summer
practical
weather
parenting.
returns for a few days, and it
Oh, it's
kind of
late summer.
says yes,
Second
and
summer.
it just says goodbye to you.
Goodbye.
This is the last goodbyes of the summer, and it's beautiful, and it's always it's more beautiful than the actual summer actually. So yeah, I'm getting all emotional about it now. So.
Because people are desperate for the last little bit of sunshine before
And warmth, yeah.
before the trees turn
We had a wonderful
red and
picnic
brown.
yesterday in the park in this beautiful, gorgeous Indian summer day, and we were.
You had a picnic in the park. I was working.
Yeah, I know.
You had a picnic in the park.
Yeah.
Oh dear. It's all right. It's all right for some, isn't it? Oh my God.
Shut up.
Picnic in the park. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you were on swings and in rope slides and.
I was absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in all of those. Kids were just standing by watching me having fun.
Well, that's why
You know.
parents go to those places, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We had a very nice homeschooling rendezvous. With,
a rendezvous.
Rendezvous
Mon
with
Dieu.
another homeschooling family from around here.
Avez-vous?
And they're not very
Rondade.
and not very numerous around here, because the homeschooling in Slovakia has quite there's quite a lot of rules that you have to kind of obey. So it's a bit demotivating sometimes.
There are hoops to jump through.
Yes, but if you
Trees to hide
believe
behind.
that what you do is the right thing to do and it's the best thing to do for your family and for your children, then it's not that difficult to jump through those hoops and get it right.
Except that a lot of people are sort of not prepared to put in the time and the effort.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people who are. So yeah, you can't really generalize.
It does make a difference.
It's not very common here, and there's this, it's a bit of a taboo.
Taboo.
Just people are just not familiar with the concept. Really, they don't know what homeschooling is.
Well, what is homeschooling? Give us a bit of the background.
Homeschooling can have a lot of different. You should give us the background for
You're
crying out loud. You're the expert
for
on
crying out
alternative
loud. What a
education.
ridiculous English phrase. For crying out loud. I'm not crying and I'm not being loud. Okay.
That's when you want to say for Christ's sake, but you.
Well, if ever there was a piece of misterminology,
yeah.
it's homeschooling, right? Because a lot of it you don't do at home, and it's really not
Schooling.
It's learning. So it's more of the organic process of allowing the activity of learning to
Happen.
happen all by itself. I think you can induce it. You can prepare the environment for it, and then when it happens, it just happens. You just go with the flow.
Will shocked me yesterday. I told you how he
with
shocked
electricity.
me. No.
Not with electricity.
With his knowledge of history, I was amazed. I was amazed. But William is learning. He's studying his history by actually watching the Horrible History series,
which is kind of random. I mean,
which is extremely random. They just pop like bits and pieces from the world and the British history.
No, but he does.
Together.
I didn't just give him the Horrible History series. What I did was I downloaded the books, right?
Yes.
And I put the books into his tablet, and then the Horrible Histories to watch is a supplement to the books, right?
Yes.
So it's not just the fact that he watched the Horrible Histories, it's the fact that he can connect the Horrible Histories TV series to the books, because the books have continuity, because the books deal with one specific period of history, whether it's the Egyptians or the Romans or the Victorians or...
Yes.
I'm not sure what else is there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And what I do
the Scottish one's good. We've got the Scottish one somewhere, haven't we?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
Bloody
yeah.
history
The bloody
that's
Scots or something. I don't know.
The bloody Scots. Isn't it bloody Scotland? Isn't that what it's called?
Probably. Anyway, and what I do is I answer questions. He asks me questions like, how did the Roman Empire
do you
finish?
know all that stuff?
Right. Well, I Google it if I don't know. I know some of that stuff, but
how did the Roman
know.
Empire finish?
Well, it got too big, didn't it?
Like a balloon
it got
that
so
went
big.
pop.
Yeah, exactly. It got so big that it couldn't be effectively controlled anymore from a centralized, by a centralized government.
I thought it became too corrupt.
Well,
I thought it was
probably.
There's actually a study. I think it's the 5 key factors in the fall of the Roman Empire. There was a study on it, and it's quite interesting. The fiat currency was one of the reasons. Obviously, it got too big. That's true, but the fact that they began to spend money that they didn't have. That was the beginning of the end, and the investment in military conflict, and the fact that the government became less powerful as the emperor became more powerful. And then you've got the basic corruption and dissolution of family within society as well.
Well, anyway, just to come back to the previous to the original topic, is that I was amazed how Will was capable of piecing the puzzle together. And he came to me, and he came to me with a timeline. It was like, there were Romans, and then there were Anglo-Saxons, and there were Middle Ages, and there were Normans, and I don't even remember the correct, order in which he said it, right? And he was like, and then...
How do you know it was right? I knew it wasn't just like reeling off stuff. How do you know that the order was right?
Well, I wasn't 100% sure, but it sounded alright, right? It was close enough. He said he gave me the basic Romans, Middle Ages, and then Victorians. It was like, okay, maybe there were things in between, but that's basically, the right. He's put those things in the correct order.
History is so interesting. Which it is. How come I don't remember any history lesson that I got from school?
Okay,
I don't even remember one single history lesson from school.
I'll tell you why.
And all I know about history I taught myself by
because
reading.
It's not Star Wars.
What?
Because it's not Star Wars.
History is not Star Wars?
Yes.
Because you mean like... Because I wasn't taught by Darth Vader.
Okay, look. If you look at the history, you could bloody well make it into Star Wars, right?
History.
Yeah, you could.
What?
You could make an interesting, adventurous.
Check out Jazzy over there.
What is she doing?
Between.
Yeah.
Oh, she stopped. She was
You
flying.
you could make an interesting series in television and a cartoon full of adventure. You could make it, kind of simplified, but keeping the complexity of the relationships to an understandable extent for children to understand. You can make it bloody Star Wars, okay?
Well, yes, there are some good history series. Is that a word? Series?
I don't know. Are there? Are there?
Well, look, there's the Christian. There's a couple of Christian series. Series is. Oh my God!
Well, I've seen
what's
the
plural of series.
series. It's just series.
It's just series, yeah.
Yes.
It's just series.
I mean, you've downloaded the Liberty Kids for
Okay, Liberty Kids is fantastic.
I think it's boring.
Of,
I think Liberty Kids is boring.
It's boring. I thought it's great the way it pieces the puzzle of the American Revolution together.
Yes, but it's just a tiny. Well, first of all, it's a
there's
tiny little window in history.
But then there were no lightsabers
country.
during the American Revolution.
It doesn't have. It's interesting for you. It's not interesting for Will yet. It may be interesting for him when he grows up a bit older. But first of all, it's America. It's a tiny little window in American history that is made into a long series. Now, I understand that the American Revolution was a complex subject, right? And that you can talk about it for hours and hours and hours.
In 5 minutes.
Yeah, I get it. I understand that. But that's not what. What I would like.
Toilet training in the background, if you can hear it.
What I would like is something slightly more general and slightly more adventurous with a bit more action in it oh my God. With a bit more action in it for Will, because Will watched Liberty Kids and it was just boring for him and he didn't remember any of the names. It didn't have any drama in it.
Well, you could say that life is boring because it doesn't have any drama in it, couldn't you?
History is boring. Life is boring. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
History is not boring. History is exciting.
It is exciting if you make it exciting for little kids, like Star Wars. It's not exciting
Star Wars
for little
is not history. Probably.
It is. It is a fictional history. I'm trying to explain that to you, right?
Look, there are elements of morality.
He knows all the types of the ships. He knows all the names of the characters. He knows all the relationships. Listen, he knows all the relationships between the characters, right? If he knew so much.
I want to listen to you, but Jazzy's over there saying that she needs a bit of parental support. So, So this idea that Star Wars is history, you can learn a lot. You can explore reality through unreality. The same way that drama helps us explore. That theater helps us explore not only our own world, but other worlds that could exist. So.
He learned all these names, right? He learned all these names, and he learned.
You've caught your
all these
again
facts, and these are not easy names, right? These are freaking Qui-Gon Jinn names and other weird stuff. Okay, so if he can learn all that. If he can learn the whole complexity of the story,
you could make alcohol.
The whole weird family relationships there, and all the motivations of people's actions and stuff, then he could bloody well learn everything about history. He could learn all the names in the history. He could learn all the relationships in the history if it was presented to him in an entertaining manner, if he was motivated to remember them. if he had freaking collection cards, right, of historical heroes, or if he had Lego being sold, like Middle Ages, or
Well, that exists.
or he had like
Middle
a
Ages Lego
Victorian Lego, or if he had like King
Just
Henry
like dirty
VIII
and
Lego
smelly.
with all of his 6 wives and a little guillotine or something, you know? I mean, he had
Right, a little Lego guillotine. So I guess you pull the heads off. You might as well.
French Revolution and a little Lego guillotine and a lots of yeah, exactly.
Will's up.
Will's trying to shoot us here.
With,
But you know what I
with
mean?
his big gun.
You know what I mean? You can make a
Uh,
whole huge massive business out of it. You can make it entertaining.
Yeah. I get that. Will, can you not shoot your gun in the background, please? Because it'll come through on the audio. You'll just have to imagine you're firing it.
He's going to forget that in about 3 seconds
It
and
was
do it again.
it was his birthday like 2 days ago.
Oh yeah.
He got several dart guns, and
Dart, really?
that dart gun doesn't have any darts.
It's got like these soft bullets. One of his guns have these soft bullets.
Why
and
didn't
the
that
other
bullet?
one
Why
is
didn't that
supposed
gun
to
have bullets? What happened to the bullets?
Timko gave him the gun. It was Timko's gun,
Oh, okay.
and it was one of Timko's toys that he decided
Darling,
to give to
she
Will.
can't come in here because.
Okay. Thank
because,
you.
thank you. Mhm.
What happened
That
to it?
was
Why is it wet?
Looks like someone's been playing with water somewhere.
Oh, never mind.
Can you close the gate, please?
Hmm?
Barn girl. Barn.
So
Don't let the animals in.
yeah. Yeah, I think someone somewhere should do something about it.
So, what a statement of no ownership
Thank you.
whatsoever.
I know. Oh,
Can you not pour water all over the cables, please,
Jazzy,
darling? That would be,
where does
that
this
would be-
water come from?
That would be really useful. Jazzy,
You don't know? In the washer. Okay.
In the washer.
I have no idea.
Were they in the washing machine? They're all over the couch, so if there's water in
In
them,
the
then
washing machine.
The couch is.
No,
going to
they
be
were put together, but maybe there was a condensation between them or something. When they
a
were
conversation.
condensation. Or something, maybe there were like some remaining little
were
bit of
condensed.
water from when they were washed. So anyway, yeah, I'm yawning.
Sleepy.
No, I'm ill. I told you that.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Oh, you were doing so well.
Yeah. So yeah.
You think there should be more history education?
I think there should be more entertainment in the history. I'm answering your question why the hell you can't remember anything from history even though you've been taught at school. Because you were taught by an
history
old
teacher was
turtles
terrible.
in front of the blackboard reciting in a monotonous and boring manner
Monotonous.
years and names that had nothing to do with your life.
I remember in
And they
history
were
class
absolutely inconsequential
were-
for you at the age of 10.
that we were made to study kind of prehistory, like cavemen stuff.
Yes.
And I was like, what the hell has that got to do with anyone and anything?
I know.
I remember we were quizzed on how did agriculture begin
How did
and
agriculture
farming. And I don't know. And they gave us the quiz before they gave us any of the information. Maybe that was to see how much we knew, which we kind of didn't.
That's a classic.
We didn't know anything.
That's a classic. I told you about my teacher that would give us a test, that would quiz us, as a punishment for asking questions, right? Do you want to ask
So he
questions?
was
I'm going to ask questions. Bah.
Well, it's just a power trip. isn't
Yeah.
it?
So if I was like, excuse me, but I really don't understand how this works. It was physics, okay?
Okay.
So you really have to kind of, grasp the idea. It's like, I'm sorry, but I really don't understand how this equation works here. Why does this happen when I do this? It'd be like, you don't understand it. What do you mean you don't understand it? Quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be like, all right.
I guess he was trying to be fun.
He was trying to
failed
quit
miserably.
alcohol most of all,
Trying to
because he was an alcoholic and massive problems. And we
try. You don't try. Try. They're dirty days. Where's my Yoda voice? Try. There is no
Yeah.
try.
And we complained
Don't
about
or
that to the
don't
school.
do
You know, we've complained about the moodiness and the the fact that like we were like, you know, kind of average result, and then suddenly for half a year, for half a term, we'd all be like failing, okay, suddenly, and we were like, listen, teacher, this is really not our fault. We told to our head teacher. It's like, this is really, we don't know what to do with this. And they must have talked to him about it because it changed. You know, he stayed there and he still taught us, but it changed eventually. So something happened, and
Something happened. He was threatened with losing his job and his
yes,
money.
but he was losing his mind. I can tell you that back then. He must have had some personal problems or
Well,
something.
the teaching should be limited to a certain number of years because after a while, I think all teachers lose their mind.
We had a really good teacher though. That was really sorry when he retired.
Yeah.
This old biology teacher. I told to him about you. I told you about him before.
No.
Yeah, because I was kind of in love with him. He was like 70 and he's really good.
70?
Yeah.
70. Well, there you go.
He was very old, but he was really good teacher. He liked me as well.
Yes.
Yes. Every time nobody knew the answer to a question, he would call on me and he would say, "Okay, you tell us." And it was like, of course I know the answer.
What's happening in the background there?
It has a hair.
There's a hair. Well, you can take the
Show
hair
me?
off, darling.
Can you take it off?
There you go. Do.
I take it off. There's a hair on it.
The
Yuck.
hairs, your hairs are everywhere.
Yeah, of course they are, because they're long and beautiful, and thick.
Right.
So-
As you do. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
If you
this
can
is
hear
so
noises in
important.
the background, the drilling has started again. the neighbours have this obsession with drills. I think they collect them and they stick them into the wall.
I've seen this
And-
great video on the internet, like what your neighbors do, what your neighbors do when you wonder what they're doing, right? And it'd be like this couple living upstairs from this woman, right? And the woman was like, "What are they doing there again?" And the neighbors up top would do things like roll huge barrels down the floor or roll bowling balls down the floor, and they'd be like, you know, they were like, "Oh, this is art, you know, we're creating this happening for the people who live underneath us, you know," and they were like, "Oh, they must be wondering what we're doing," and they were deliberately making noise, right? And there would be like this guy and this woman, and this guy would be like middle of the night, and he'd be like, "Oh, we're taking shifts so that they think that we actually never sleep," you know.
What?
It was fun. It was a fun video. You have to watch. I have to send it to you. It was really funny.
You don't have to send me anything. I live this. You don't have to send me
It
anything.
was like, you know, the woman
live through this
downstairs
on a
is trying
daily basis.
to find some kind of rationality in it, while the people upstairs were just actually doing it on purpose and completely irrationally.
Of course, naturally, all neighbours are irrational
Yeah.
by nature.
So maybe the people who are pretending to be reconstructing the apartment just have the drills on, stuck in the wall, and just sit in the middle of the room and play cards and think, "Oh, they must think that we're working." Bah ha 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 ha. You know? It's not making you feel any better, is it?
Well, no, because I got to live through this several months of how slowly can we reconstruct something, and how many holes do you actually need to make in a wall in order to do whatever it is you need to do to the wall?
That's a good question.
I mean, there shouldn't be any walls left after several.
There was the flat downstairs is like there's nothing in it, right? It's not just that we're reconstructing
nothing
a
in it,
flat.
'cause
We're
there's nothing-
building a flat, okay?
There's nothing to drill
They're
a hole
doing.
into.
There have just been like walls with no anything, okay? There were no water pipes in the flat.
How
There
can
was
you build
just
a
a
flat
connection.
with no electricity, no water pipes, No.
Well, they've left the connections there for you to build the networks afterwards. It's called a hollow bit, right?
Excuse me?
You've got hollow bit and you've got the basic walls there,
What?
right? Hollow bit.
Is that something from Star Wars?
Yes. It's like a Trilla bit, but it's a bit different. Anyway, so
Bizarre.
you have to do everything in there. You have to do the water network. You have to do the electricity network. You have to do the freaking plastering of the walls. You have to
Yeah, but it doesn't.
install the
that doesn't make a
kitchen. You have to
noise.
install the. Everything makes a noise. You have to install the bathroom sink. You have to put everything. There's nothing in there, right?
That's
Sure thing.
insane.
Yes.
The whole situation is.
So
insane.
there's a lot of drilling going on.
I think they just
yes.
turn on the drill and then turn it off again, just to make it sound like that. I think.
Maybe.
Oh, it's 9:15. Quick, turn it on for a couple of secs.
Yeah. So that the neighbors complain to the owner, so that he thinks that we really work all day, and pay us more.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. There were like 5 cars parked outside the flat, and different groups of people walking around looking at stuff. So,
Yeah.
Jazzy has turned on the racing game, and it's far too loud.
Jazzy, we have
Along
to
with
turn the
his
sound
drills.
down.
Yeah. It's a never-ending story. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. Depending upon which part of the world you live in, that will, or that might or might not have some kind of reference for you. Anyway, I guess people who live in trees don't have this kind of problem. I guess they have some other kind of problem. Anyway, right. Could you close the gate, please, to stop the kids coming in and pulling down everything? Right. That's what happens. Right. The 6 habits of highly effective parents. Right.
They do live recordings every day.
The highly effective parents.
First, yes, it's the first habit.
Stuff first. It's stuff first. Your accent changes more than mine.
What do you mean?
I was in the police station the other day. Again, because I spend a lot of my free time in the police station. Right.
Aye.
Sorry?
And?
You being Scottish?
Yes.
Aye.
I'm being pirate.
And what are you doing with your hair?
Just fiddling.
That didn't work. Okay. Right. What was I going to tell you about the police station? Yeah. So I'm standing there in the police station, and I met someone that I knew, because we all hang out there together, because it's a place to hang out. Right.
Y'all guys, foreigners.
Yeah. And this guy says, you must be Scottish. It's like, really? Really? It's bizarre. I don't know how people can just instantly, like...
I told you, it's the eyebrows.
The eyebrows. Well, the accent's not there that much anymore. So, so anyway. So I said, you must be Irish. So, there you go.
My accent, actually, I'm so...
So?
I pick up accents so easily that it's enough for me to watch videos on Facebook, and I'm going to pick up their accent.
Well, I can pinpoint
crazy.
somebody to the country that they've lived in, or the country that their teacher lived in, from their accent. So I was listening to an interview the other day, and I was like, that girl says she's American, but I'm actually pretty sure she's German. And the second half of the interview, well, actually, I'm from Germany. It's like, okay, I can, you can pretty much guess, even if someone's had like a teacher from the north of England or the south of England, I can pretty much tell. So
I couldn't.
yeah.
I could. I can't.
Practice. Practice makes perfect.
I can tell. I can tell Scottish, Irish, and English.
Well, you can tell it's very
accents apart. Sometimes Welsh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Australia. Now South Africa.
You can always tell English
confused.
people, because they're the ugly ones.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No.
Oops. Oh dear, did I offend another country?
Shut
I
up.
can't make a podcast.
I
without
get really
offending a whole
confused with
country.
South African and Australian accent because
No,
to me
actually, it's
they
interesting. I was
sound
watching a
similar.
couple of teaching videos the other day
Yeah.
on the internet, different teaching channels. I was going through them and having a look at them, and all the ones about English people, all the guys were really ugly. I just thought I'd point
Can
that
you
out.
can you tell? I mean, what's the difference between South African and Australian accent?
Well, first of all, people come from different countries.
Accent. I'm talking about accent, not people.
Well, the accent comes from a different country as well.
Oh, for crying out loud!
What's the problem? What's the question? Give me the question again.
What's the difference between
Is this a joke?
South African and Australian accent when it comes to English? And can you successfully reproduce both of them and give us a little, show?
I definitely can't do the South African one, although it is really unique because it seems to be a mix of some kind of English and an Afrikaans kind of accent. So
Yeah.
the words
I
are
don't
all
know
English.
what Afrikaans accent is.
Well, it's Southern African sort of.
I know it's Southern African
tone.
language, but I don't know.
I mean, obviously, the sounds of certain letters are produced in a certain way. Obviously, there's Queen's English, which exists everywhere, the Oxford and sort of Cambridge grammatical system. But look, they're at it again.
It just sounds like
More
someone's
holes.
stomach is growling really loudly.
It's like living next door to a dinosaur with a headache, basically,
And a growling stomach.
and a growling stomach. There's something like that.
I have a headache and a growling stomach.
Well, good. You can go downstairs and join them then. Right. You probably
I might.
probably be louder than
They
them.
probably have some nice food there.
Food, workers,
So man,
They're
they probably have
drinking
meat.
beer.
They probably have meat and beer.
Yeah.
I might go and join them.
Do you remember that guy who came to work on our house?
Which one?
The one who kept injuring himself.
No.
There was this guy who came to work on the house and he kept injuring himself because
Oh,
he was so
that-
drunk he couldn't actually work properly.
That guy with the other guy.
Yeah, the workers turned up with this extra guy one day, and the guy was so drunk that he couldn't work. And
Was he drunk? I can't
kept-
remember, but I know that he kept injuring
he kept
himself.
cutting himself.
Cut
and
his finger,
hitting
and
himself.
then he hit himself with a hammer. He just kept doing things, yeah. And he did fall down of somewhere. It was just crazy. Yeah, it was this big guy as well. He was like,
Oh, it's just a flesh wound.
"Do you have a do you have a plaster? I got a little scratch." And you know, like this blood gushing out of his finger, right? It's crazy.
Oh, there you go.
Can I wash it somewhere? What do you think?
Go to the pub and stick it in a pint of beer, man. Right. The 6 habits of highly effective parents. We're going to get through this.
No, we're not.
No, because we get the toilet roll off your head. Okay. It's not big and it's not clever. You know. Right. So we covered this a little bit before. We've covered this a little bit many times.
Yes, because
But we haven't got very
we keep
far.
wanting to talk about it.
Yeah,
We only
yeah.
talked about the first point recently. Because
We
we
got-
did talk about it before, but nobody could hear it. Right?
It's the lost recording, which might not be lost
It's
because of
really
what we
dark in
discovered.
there. Do you think you can do something about
Dark on Facebook.
it? Yeah.
Well, you know,
Facebook got darker.
we've gone to the dark
People
side.
in Facebook, turn the lights on.
No, that's making it darker still. Can I bring sunshine?
Hey, Zook.
No! Oops. No.
Hey Zook, turn the lights on over there. Isn't
How
that
about
what
that?
it is?
Oh,
right?
is that-
Huh? Nope.
Look
Okay.
at that.
Huh?
It's doing it by
Ah,
itself.
sunshine.
Is that better?
Yes, blue skies and sunshine. So the habits of the highly effective people.
What is she talking about?
We talked about talking.
We talked about talking. Are you alright?
No,
Don't fall over.
losing balance.
No. You're standing on one leg again.
Yeah.
Stork.
We talked about talking before because one of the 6 habits of highly effective parents is
That
that
they
they
talk.
communicate with their children. Right, not just the one-sided conversations like please go and put your shoes on the shelf
Mhm.
and turn that music down
Mhm.
and stop drilling in the wall and stuff like that. But double-sided conversations, like you talk and you listen.
Oh, a conversation requires listening.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the word conversation, I mean, the root of it, convert, is convert, which means to change.
No, it's not.
It is.
Converse. Con, as in with or together.
Yeah, but vert.
And the
vert
verse.
Is change. Convert is change.
Verse, as in a sentence.
Yeah, but the point of the con versus things that start con are false. As in con man, as in a con job, right?
There's one example that comes from English language, but con comes from Latin and it means with. It's a preposition. It's a prefix that means with.
With verse.
Yes.
What about chorus?
What chorus?
That was a good verse. You can't have a verse without chorus, can you?
What are you talking about?
Songs. What are you talking about? I'm talking about parenting. Okay.
I'm talking about the development.
Children's emotional skills, social skills, and intellectual skills are like muscles. Parents can exercise them and train them and encourage them. There's no one way to raise a right kid, but there are a few things that many of the most successful parents do. So, talking to your kids. Average conversation length strongly correlates with children's IQ and reading ability. So the more you communicate and the deeper your language skills, the more that the children will pick up on that and integrate it into their intellectual activities and their reading abilities. 88 to 98% of the words that children use by the age 3 are from their parents' vocabularies. The big dictionary, right? The more you see previous podcasts, the more you talk to your children, the higher their functional vocabulary is. Tra-la-la. And apparently there's a strong correlation there as well. How cool is that? I've got more that we can do on that subject, actually, but we'll move on.
Yeah, because we've already covered it once.
Yeah, but I've got more. I've got more. There's always more.
There's always more to everything. The art is to know when to stop.
Yeah?
Well,
I thought the art was to start. It's the start that stops most people. You know that.
Well.
Hello?
You know my hero from Zero to Hero.
Hercules.
Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Stephen King, sorry. Or
maybe it's Stefan, I don't know.
Stephen King,
King of Horror.
King of Horror.
But didn't he start writing after he had an accident? He had some brain injury, and then he woke up with his sudden gift.
No.
That's not true.
No, it's not true. It's a hard work. And a lot of grit.
That's not true. Really, I read a story that he had an accident, and then after his accident he started writing. So the story was not true.
No, he did have an accident, but that was in the middle of his career.
Don't believe everything that's on the net.
He had a big accident, but it was in the middle of his career when he had it, and it did not jumpstart any supernatural gifts. No.
What was
he studied literature.
What was his accident? What happened?
He studied Well, I'll tell you about it. Okay, he studied literature at a university, and then he started writing, and he was extremely unsuccessful. And he just kept writing while his while his wife had 2 jobs, so she can support him because he was sucking at everything. He was working at some kind of laundry.
His wife had 2 jobs. Why don't you have 2 jobs?
Because I've got 3 children.
Oh.
Right, and
good answer.
They were both working really shitty jobs, and he was writing at the same time, and then.
You do.
Finally, and then they had 2 children, and then finally after that he finally managed to kind of get his big break and just get on with it.
A lot of writers experience more rejection than success. Actually,
he experienced a lot of rejection.
It's definitely worthwhile persevering at the art.
And his accident was he was walking. He was walking by the side of the road.
Oh my gosh, no.
He was at his summer house somewhere, right, with his family.
A summer house. I wish I had a summer house.
And he used to go walking in the morning or jogging or whatever he was doing. And he said he was walking and a car accident happened near him. Mm-hmm. And one car has been I can't remember if it was pushed off the road or if the person fell asleep and came off the road. But as the car was coming over the hill, he couldn't see the car, right? Okay. It just hit him. He was on the side of the road, and the car just rammed into him, basically, right? So
Think of all those horror stories we wouldn't have if he died.
I know.
Crazy, huh?
I know. And he was obviously all patched up for a very long
Do
time.
you know that he
in
wrote
hospital.
Running Man?
Yeah.
He wrote the script for the Running Man film.
I read the book called Running Man by him, and it was
Yeah, but
horrible. I thought,
he did it under another name, though.
yes, I thought it was like this pointless blood.
It's probably why he did it under another name.
Yeah, I didn't like the book very much, actually. I really like his psychological study of characters, which I think is genius.
Talking about
But I didn't like the Running Man
authors.
very
Number
much.
two, highly effective parents.
Read to your kids. Don't read Stephen King to your kids.
Read to your kids. Read
Not
something
until they're at
appropriate.
least 14.
Third grade reading levels predict high school success, so start early. The average recommended time by psychologists is 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes a day that you should read to your child.
You know
which
what's
is-
funny? I'm not a highly effective parent because I don't read to my children 20
Yeah, well,
minutes.
it's up to the age of 15. You should read at least 20 minutes a day to your children.
Up to the
Studies
age of
sh-
15?
Yeah, studies show that children whose parents read to them for at least 20 minutes a day are a grade level ahead of other children by the age of 15. So reading to your children actually makes a huge
What's the point of
difference.
reading to your children up till the age of 15 if they know how to read by the time
I don't know,
they're
maybe you're
7?
sharing information with them. Maybe you're setting a positive example for them. Maybe you're reading more complex stuff. Maybe you're explaining something to them. Maybe you enjoy it. There you go. There's a whole list of things that could be connected there.
Okay.
Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, let your kids play. Have games, have fun. Play fosters executive function skills, which is just a more complex way of saying lots of practical shit. Executive function is enhanced working memory, reasoning, task flexibility, problem solving, and the ability to self-regulate. You should read my article on the 13 principles of elite schools, because that very much gets into sports and how sports are used in elite schools to foster certain kinds of psychological development. I wonder if can you get that on the internet, or is it only in my archive now? I'm not sure. I should post it. Remind me, and I'll post the 13 principles of elite schools.
13 principles of elite schools.
Are you all right?
You.
You're all right. You're passing out.
Yeah.
Don't. Don't, because.
Sorry, I had to cough.
Keep it in. Okay. In Finland, one of the top-ranked education systems in the world, I believe it's 7 at the moment, although it was number 1 before it was overtaken by all those military Asian-style schools where they drill everything into everyone, just like the neighbours downstairs. Kids take 15-minute unstructured breaks after 45 minutes of instruction. They don't run from class to class. Well, the Finnish system is completely different from most other systems in the world. We don't have time to study it here today, but the idea is to let the children play, let the children have those interactions and those experience, both structured play and unstructured play.
I have an
So
interesting
much to offer.
information
Concerning
concerning Finland and children.
Okay.
And it was that, did you know that physical punishments of any kind are forbidden by law in Finland when it comes to bringing up children?
So up to a
it's-
certain age, right? You know, you can't physically punish someone up to
You can't physically punish someone.
anyone ever. What about fighting? Do they have boxing? Can you have boxing? Is that
I
legal?
don't know. I'm talking
Why did you
about
get hurt
children,
from
okay?
sport?
I'm talking about spanking. You're not allowed to spank your kid in Finland. It's against law.
Spanking is for imbeciles. So.
Yes, I know. I just wanted to point that out because I thought it might be an interesting point of discussion. You know, I mean, because on one hand you have making spanking illegal, which is it's kind of logical because it's wrong and you don't want anybody to be spanking their children. On the other hand, you have government wriggling their way into the family lives and deciding what family can or cannot do. So I think that would be an interesting point of discussion for some later time, maybe to
talk about spanking.
talk about whether whether it's good to forbid spanking completely or whether we should tolerate it in for the sake of keeping the government out of the home.
If someone
or
wants to be spanked,
I don't
is
know
that
a
okay?
children who would want to be spanked. Do you know a child who'd come to you
What
and
about
say,
an adult who
"Can you
wants to be
please
spanked?"
That's a freaking adult.
Sorry? That's an adult. Adults can do what they want to each other.
Focus.
Within reason.
Focus.
Sorry.
Focus. It's about consent.
It's about children.
Okay?
Oh, okay.
It's about consent.
Children can't consent to anything, really, can they? I mean, this idea that
Yes, they can.
they can express opinions, but legally they can't consent.
Well, legally they can't.
Right.
But your relationship with your children should be based on consent, right?
Mutual respect
Yes.
rather than consent.
Yes, but mutual respect and consent are closely interlinked.
You consent to that which you are persuaded is the right thing to do in general, unless there's force, which means the whole situation is corrupt anyway.
Oh, there you go. I mean, you cannot go against somebody else's consent if you respect them.
Yeah, well, obviously.
No, so that proves my point.
Wait. Repeat that to me again. Let me just.
I said you cannot act against somebody else's consent if you respect them. If you respect somebody, you respect their consent.
You could persuade someone to consent to something that
Yes.
they don't really know much about, which
Yes,
would
you
be
can.
immoral.
No, it would not be immoral. Because if they don't know about it and you know better,
adults have more language experience and use and ability than children. So adults could manipulate children into consent.
Well, yes, okay. Look, let's take a situation, okay? Take a situation. You want to take the kid to the forest, and the kid doesn't want to go to the forest, right? He tells you, "Nah, I don't really want to go."
Drag him.
What you can do is you can say, "Oh, look, I really want us all to go together to the forest because of these reasons.
Okay.
I consider these reasons important. I want to spend time with you, and I think it would be good for us because of this and this and this and this." And then the kid can say, well, okay, that sounds logical. Fine. Okay, then I'll go. Or he can say, "Oh, okay, I'll go with you to the forest, but then you have to watch Star Wars with me, so that it's something for something."
So talking a lot about Star Wars today.
And and that would be like, okay, well, that's okay. We have an agreement. We can go. That's fine. That's okay. That's respectful from both sides, right?
No, it's an agreement.
But
that's different from consent is.
But if you say
one person wants something, not both people are getting something.
But if you say if he says no, I just really don't want to go there right now. I don't feel like going to the forest. I really don't want to go to the forest. You can say what you want and I won't go, right? Then it would be disrespectful to say, well, you're going and that's it. It would be disrespectful.
Well, it's disrespectful to do that anywhere to anybody.
So yes. So respecting somebody's consent is showing them respect. That's what I was saying all the entire time. So not just I think you agree.
Yeah, that the argument you put forward is kind of respecting someone is showing respect.
Yeah.
It's kind of, there's a bit of tautology there.
No, I said consent and respect are closely interlinked. You can't have one without the other. Well, you can't have respect without consent. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Something to think about anyway. Yeah, if you disagree with us or have another perspective, please let us know. Right. So we did talking with your kids, we did reading with your kids, we did play with children. The fourth habit of highly effective parents is limit your kids' TV time, limit the children's time watching screens. Apparently, more than 1 hour a day of
really dark again.
Television. Sorry, we're really dark.
Really dark again.
Really dark on the net. We're on the dark web. Dark web. It's because the sun went behind the cloud.
Dark side.
It's because we're doing the natural light thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you might disappear though. I've brightened you up a little bit, but
Thank you.
you might actually disappear.
Okay, I need that today.
Well. Okay. Okay. So, limiting your children's screen time. Apparently, there are problems that children have with concentration, which then leads to other effects. They can't focus on reading, they can't focus in school, and apparently, according to psychologists, children under 2 should never be allowed to watch television. Children under 2. It's quite it's quite interesting because how many parents will have the TV on in the background, or they'll sit the child down in front of it and they'll watch the moving images to try to keep them entertained. So
I saw an interesting article today about technology and children, and about there's lots and lots and lots of parents now are against technology because it's not the way that we live. And you've got these chain posts on Facebook like this post if you spend your childhood outside and collecting frogs and getting spanked and
at the same time
and fought with your friends and didn't want to come home for dinner because you were having so much fun outside. And it's all about outdoor play and how everything was super cool back then, and how the current generation is all missing all this, and they've got the phones and they've got the tablets and they've got the computers, and they're missing all of the great things that we've done when we were kids, and it's wrong. And the way that it's basically all saying that our childhood was the right thing to do childhood, and that today's childhood is all wrong, and they are just poor kids. They don't know the good stuff. Right.
That I have a counter argument to that, because I was discussing with a client yesterday the fact that children's habits change, and that the client didn't understand why his children were interested in watching other children play computer games on the internet.
Yeah.
And
on YouTube.
And I was explaining there's not much difference between the pointlessness of watching someone play a computer game and the pointlessness of watching an ice hockey match.
Yeah.
Or a football match.
Yeah.
They're all kind of pointless activities.
Because you're watching somebody else play something.
Some quiz show or whatever. Because you're just watching somebody else's reality, basically, or even it might not even be reality.
Yeah.
And so obviously the children find something in it, otherwise they wouldn't watch it. The young people find something in it, and maybe there's always this possibility. Maybe they're right. Maybe there's something more in it that the adults can't see. Right? I mean, children often pick up on technology faster than adults. Like the Snapchat application was really popular with kids, turned into $1 billion industry, and adults didn't use it and didn't understand it. They really, really didn't understand it.
I don't know what Snapchat is.
Oh, okay. It's an application for sharing pictures.
Okay.
It was the one that the picture theoretically deletes itself after 10 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. So there we go.
Anyway, it just shows you.
If you can hear hammers and drills in the background, there's not much that we can do about it. They're pretty much something we have to live with all day here. So,
anyway, well, that's kind of my point as well. People say, oh, they don't have childhood because it's different than what we had. But times change, for crying out loud. I mean, our parents didn't have the same childhood like their grandparents did, because their grandparents didn't go to school in their shoes, for example, because they didn't have money for shoes, right? And they didn't go, oh, your childhood sucks because you have shoes, right? So I don't think we should go, oh, your childhood sucks because you have tablets. We shouldn't try to bring things backwards, right? I mean, there are good things that children absolutely need, right? They do need to have limited screen time, because you can see that it's not good for them when they watch too much telly, because you can see the lack of focus and the lack of concentration and the lack of emotional self-control, right? But we shouldn't just take away the technology completely, because that's a step backwards. That's not our children's world. You can't take them out of that, throw them in the nature and say, okay, well, that would be isolating them from the world. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. So we've covered the first 4 habits of highly effective parents.
yes.
The fourth one was of course limiting screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are exposed to a lot of health risks when they are given too much screen time. In fact, the average child watches 20,000 advertisements a year. 20,000 advertisements a year. 34% of these are for usually unhealthy foods, basically. So it kind of overloads the brain, and there are other studies that show that it often destroys creativity because you're not being creative. It's not as creative as, say, listening to the radio where you can imagine stuff. The image is created for you. At least if you're reading a book, you can create the images in your mind. If you're listening to a story, you can create the images in your mind. But if you're watching a screen, it's kind of all done for you. It's too passive.
That's true, but then
you need to be active all of the time.
But you can't stop the imagination. I mean that the show ends, right? And the kid goes to their room and they recreate the play, with the Lego, and they create new situations, and they lie in their bed and think about it and make connections in their brains and think about what would happen if something else happened. Well, then tell her to stop or find something better for her or something, yeah?
What's happening?
Oh, she found Will's tablet and she's watching YouTube, and it's, YouTube, it's uncontrolled.
Oh, okay.
It's uncontrolled.
Okay.
So she's probably watching some other kids playing with toys.
I think we've done 4 of the... We've done 4 of them, which is covering quite enough for today. And as the neighbours have started their building work in the background,
we should
Will
probably finish.
started to play with his gun again.
He started to shoot
Jazzy's found
people.
a tablet. We have the usual family chaos that's kicked off in the background. So we're going to go and deal with all of that stuff. Just a quick reminder of those 4 principles. And the first is talk to your children as much as you can. Give them as much vocabulary as you can. Read to your kids. Introduce them to as much new language. Reading is how we develop and pick up a lot of the new language. Let the kids play, have those interaction experiences. Limit their screen time.
Talking about respect, when you're limiting the screen time, of course do it respectfully. Don't just come and turn it off and say, oh good, it's enough, you've had enough, bye bye. Just kind of try to communicate about it. Tell them why you're doing that. Explain to them.
Don't just do it. Explain the reasons for it, and explain the consequences of.
Try to come to an agreement.
I don't mean I don't mean presenting negative consequences. I mean explaining natural.
You can always come to an agreement. You can always talk to your child and say, this is the fact. Okay, the fact is that it's just not good for your brain or whatever. It's just not good for you. So how about we still have some screen time, but let's choose a window of time when you would like to watch it, or let's suggest how much do you think we could do every day, or try to communicate, try to come to an agreement so that the child feels that they are involved in the communication, that it's not just an order coming somewhere from above, being based on no logic whatsoever, right?
Absolutely. Right. Little bit of promo before we go. You can catch up with us online. You can find more information at www.nsa-slovakia.com. I have the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching on YouTube and Facebook. There's a Pinterest page as well. And
I'm the 21st century mom, spelled mum.com.
Leave messages for us on Facebook.
Find us on Facebook, yes.
Catch up with us on YouTube,
and don't drill, people. Don't drill. It's really annoying.
Yeah. And it's weird technical. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
So yes, thank you very much for watching us.
She's just taken over.
Yes, I've taken over and I'm wrapping it up. Okay. Thank you very much for watching us again today. Stay with us if you want to learn more. And
leave questions.
Leave questions. Yes.
Leave questions. Repetition. Leave questions. Okay. Right. We're gonna go and do our thing. So.
And there's a webinar. There's a webinar being prepared. It is still being prepared.
Still.
Yes.
Still. We'll do that one later. Okay. Follow us for more information.
Okay. That's a good wrap up. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye. I'm saying bye, everybody. It was lovely to see you again today.
Dinosaur noises
out there. Everybody who saw us, all 4 people there.
Okay, right. Say bye to Facebook and the podcast people. Bye bye, Facebook. Bye bye, podcast people. Speak to you again soon. Da 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 da. Can't even turn it off. Can't find the buttons. Bye bye.